Mm. So, good morning and good afternoon. I am excited to show up here again. Today, I show up with the Sustainability Talks every Tuesday at 12 noon Central European time. And today, I'm just so excited and I'm just so grateful to spend the time with you today, whether that is actually being here live with me. So if you're showing up live, please just let me know you're here. You can send some hearts or thumbs up or whatever you're feeling inspired to. Would love to see that you're here. And hi, Kalina. And then on LinkedIn, sometimes it's a bit actually difficult to see when you're on because I can't see your names popping up. So please, I look forward to see your comments. So today, I am excited to talk about the topic, which is on the imposter syndrome. And basically, it is about how can we overcome the imposter. And there are several reasons as to why I'm bringing this up. This is not necessarily my area of what we call the coaching expertise, but this is an area that we are faced with, so many of us, that what I can say, I'm definitely an expert of my own experience of being a high achiever and being driven by the imposter syndrome. That is a very familiar thing for so many of the women that I'm working with. Hi, Ingrid, nice to see you. And so whether you are joining me live today or you are watching the replay, I would love to hear from you. Now, I have a very powerful mastermind group, which is called the Next Level Purpose Mastermind. And in this group, there is a level of women who are just leveling up. They know exactly that they are meant for more. They know exactly that when they are leaning towards their ideas, when they're going all in, they will create massive impact. And the women that I get to work with are already out there creating powerful, massive impact through their organizations, through their nonprofit work, through how they're showing up as leaders, and also how they are actually showing up as powerful women. They are being the women who are carrying the vision of their future. So they have a vision for the future and they're acting as they are carrying that vision now. Because what we are talking about here is literally 95 is inside, 95% is your mindset, and only 5% is your tactic. So one of the things, though, that have shown up when it comes to the imposter is that the imposter shows up with a very harsh language sometimes. So the question now is, are you a victim of your imposter? Are you a victim of this voice, which is basically from your past? Is it holding you back? Or are you, as many of us are, if you're a high achiever, it is the voice of the imposter that makes you feel that I need to prove myself beyond anything I do. Whatever it looks like for you, it's actually, in one way, being a victim. Because we are slaving to satisfy some kind of voice, and with our ways of which we can step out of it. So today, I want to just tap into 4 areas. I want to credit my own mentor, Elise Archer, for bringing this up, and of course, some of my own experiences. Now, there are so many definitions of what is the imposter syndrome, and I'm not going to go in there and challenge any of those. The one of which that resonates the most with me, which I also have felt many times for myself, is that you have this internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. So what shows up for you? Have you experienced this, that you might receive an assignment. If you're an entrepreneur, you have been invited in to do something, and suddenly you're thinking like, oh my goodness, am I good enough? I don't think I can do this. They expect this, and I'm not sure if I can deliver on that. Like, think about that. Have you experienced that? Well, this is the imposter showing up. The other can be that you have actually been promoted. You have always wanted this leadership position. You're finally stepping in there. And now there are things showing up for you. It is like, oh my word, I think that I am not able to deliver on what I said, or you feel that they are having these high expectations for you. Whatever which it shows up for you, but this is the imposter. Now, the first thing to get over the imposter syndrome, the first thing that we need to do is to stop giving it all the power. Do you kind of use this term and even say it with maybe your friends, like, yeah, you know what, I'm suffering from this imposter syndrome. I'm sharing it because it has become a bit of a trend, actually, to say that, yes, the imposter, and it is real. Absolutely, it's painfully real. Now, the challenge is this, that when you're giving this a lot of your attention, when you are kind of saying that, yes, this is going on for me, you have now given away your power to something that you don't have to give the power to. What is the way of which you can get over it is to shift your focus from, I don't think I'm good enough, I don't think I can deliver on what they believe, is to go into your own accomplishments. What is it in your life that you have today, that you sit with today, that you have wanted? You actually went out and either maybe sought that position, or you were invited in, maybe you were headhunted to it. Which one is it that you're sitting with and you think, that's my accomplish, I own that? What is it that you own in your life that is also a sign of accomplishment? What about your apartment? What about your car? What about your wardrobe? Whatever that is that a representation of what you're capable of? Is it a proof of that you accomplished to get a job that gave you the level of money that made you go in and invest in the apartment, or get the car, or invest in another master's, or actually maybe investing in a high level coach? Think about that. Because one of the key things in order to get what you want, which very often the imposter tells you not to go for, you need to know what you currently have, and you need to understand the power of owning it, that I am worthy of it. Because think about that. Can you actually go out and seek things in the future if you have absolutely no idea what it kind of makes you feel like? If you don't pause and look at your current accomplishment, go back. I did this morning. This morning, I woke up, I felt a bit off, and I was thinking, what's going on here, Rita? And I realized that I had this sensation that I usually get in January. It's like, oh my word, we are into the 18th of January. I had all these kind of things, expectations of myself to kick off in January. I feel I'm behind on time. All right, pause, ladies, pause, because did you take time to reflect on what you have done so far? If you haven't, do it. So when the imposter came to me this morning, because the imposter is like, you are not who you claim to be. Okay, well, let's check in on the evidence. So I went back from the 1st of January until the 17th of January yesterday, and I mapped out everything that I have done. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I own it. So that is the first level. Go in and own it. Because remember this, you will not be able to create that future that you're looking for, stepping into that leadership position, or creating that business, if you do not see that what you currently have is something that you once wanted. And you can feel it. And you can, it's like you get a new car, new car, you step in, the smell, that feeling when you bought it. Yeah, we want you to go back and feel that now about things that you have accomplished. What did you feel when you, thanks for your claps there. What did you feel when you got your first client? What did you feel? What did you experience when you nailed that interview that got you that job that you're sitting with now, that you might now have outgrown and it's time to step into something higher? Or what did you feel when you bought your apartment? Yeah, maybe now you're changing in the bathroom because that doesn't serve you anymore. But what did you feel? That is what we want to do. The first rule when we're working on getting away from your imposter syndrome, the imposter who is barging in the middle of a beautiful time, is to counteract its message, which basically is claiming that you are not as good as you think you are. And you can say, hang on a minute, I am not so sure if I agree with you. And then you go back and check it out. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Any comments, just let them flow in. Have you experienced this? Have you experienced that you feel you're questioning yourself and your own self-worth? Yeah, just share whatever comes in there. Now, the second thing is the voice of the imposter. Because the voice of the imposter is, we are treating this voice as either this kind of, we're going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. Yeah, Tool, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Like this voice is like, we're going to prove it wrong. I'm going to prove that I can do it. I'm going to prove myself. Now, what's happening when we are proving ourselves? Well, usually there are two things. One thing is that the perfectionists come in. Now it has to be perfect. But seriously, who can tell what is perfect? Because this perfect thing, again, it's something we have in our head. Now, first, it has to be perfect. So what do? Well, we might work into the early mornings or late hours, polishing, redoing whatever PowerPoint, whatever presentation, whatever that is. We are looking from the eye of, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. And now we get anxiety, we get the pressure. And then the only thing that can make us feel successful is that we have slaved through it and we finally delivered. And we can say, well, I definitely did my, not even the best, but it's like I white knuckled myself through it. Now, this is where we have to understand that in this moment, who's sitting in your driver's seat is a younger version of yourself. Can you see yourself and that insecurity you experienced when you were young? So we very often split this up in kind of various parts. 0 to 7, this is where you are perceiving everything as the truth. So if you feel that something is wrong, you will take it upon yourself and say, there's something wrong with me. If you experience that your parents were quarreling, the message that we're giving ourselves is, there's something wrong with me. I am a burden. There can be other situations where you don't feel safe. 0 to 7. Very often we have a different time when we're 7 to 14. Now we're starting to challenge the system. We are maybe getting into being disobedient. And what do we experience now? Well, now we're receiving punishment for speaking up, saying things. Now, again, we're being proven that, yes, I am not good enough. And then we have the other journey, which is 14 to 21, where we're growing up, the hormones are showing up, we're starting to feel insecure, we're lowering our hand because we're scared of saying something that isn't correct, all right? Now, I would like to invite you in to thinking about instead of calling this the imposter, it is your inner child. It is that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old that feel this overwhelm of, I have to prove myself. What do? I want to hide. And this voice is showing up for you inside of you and basically saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And this is her. Do you know how many children is sitting around in the boardroom? Because our triggers, our emotions are so activated and we are reacting with our inner child. Yeah. So what I would love to invite you into is that when you are thinking that, who am I to say I'm an expert in this field? Or who am I to make this much money? Or who am I to want this position? The voice that is showing up now is the younger version of you who is not ready to take on anything because she doesn't know what life is all about anyway. But you do. You have lived a longer life. You have the proofs, your accomplishments that you can look at. So when you're starting to feel this voice, like kind of, which is a mix of that inner critic, which is their inner child, this voice, and a mix of maybe what your parents have said, your teacher said, your friends said, whatever, is just to literally look at her and say, you know what? I hear you. I hear your concern. But you know what? It's not you that's going to drive this car. You're going to be in the back seat. I'm going to buckle you up. You're going to be safe because it's me, the adult who already, I did buy my apartment. Remember, I did buy my car. I did go to school. So we want to acknowledge the fear that comes from your inner child. And that's why we often do inner child work. Yeah. So yeah, Ivy, so nice to hear from you. So it resonates a lot. Yeah. What else is showing up for you when you're thinking about this inner voice, this inner child that is like, how often do you let your inner child make decisions for you because you are scared of something, scared of consequences? Very often the consequences is something that we have remembered as child and they're just being exaggerated as adults. So that is the second thing. Know who is behind the imposter voice. Give it actually your, not attention, but acknowledge it. Don't give it the power, but just acknowledge it and say, I hear you. And I'm going to kind of go ahead and step into the greatness of who I am today as an adult. All right. Now, the third point is something that I find very inspiring. It's quite funny. The third one is to know that everyone you meet that you've in one way feeling triggered by, they are a mirror of you yourself. They're actually a mirror of your possibilities and your opportunities, in particular the possibilities. Now, how can I say that? Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever experienced that you meet an old girlfriend or somebody you went to school with or studied with, and they have it all? It seems like they've got everything. They have the position that you would love to have. They are out there doing their things like you, so triggered. And the thing we would say is that you feel jealous. It's like, and you get annoyed. It's like you almost look for mistakes. You almost look like, oh, just find something that I can put her down on because I don't like that. No, this is the power of this. When you feel this, it's because you yourself can also have it. So I have had this experience. I remember once, when a woman I studied with, who in a matter of very short time stepped into making seven figure. Like, and I was like, oh my word. And I had this sense of, oh my goodness, what's going on here? Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not there? I was triggered. But because I've learned this and I realized that if I'm being triggered right now, it's because I'm seeing an opportunity. There's a possibility that I can go ahead and create the same. So instead of feeling judgmental over it, I received it as this, that, oh wow, this is actually amazing. So the way you can do it, that when you meet somebody who you feel are triggering you, and you feel like, oh, how can she have all these things? It's like, wow, thank you. Thank you for waking me up, waking these dormant possibilities up for me. Because if I get triggered by this, that means that something is vibrating and is triggering me, because I can go ahead and do the same. So the invitation is get curious about what that is. Okay. So now the fourth and last point that I just want to share is about empowerment. And one of the things that the imposter or the inner child has difficulties to knock down is what you're feeling. So imagine that. Okay, let me share an experience. So I was in Sedona in December. I attended a She Selves retreat with Elisa Archer, and in one of the sessions, Marie Bundi was there, and Marie Bundi took us through this very powerful exercise, and that is to get up from your chairs. You vision that you now have stepped into. You have the vision. This is like we were visioning, where are you in end of 2022, and how are you feeling? So we stepped up and we brought this vision in front of us. And think about this. Let's say you have a dream. You now want to, you're applying for a job, or you're about to start your business, whatever that is. And now imagine you are there. Ladies, you have got it. Okay, I'm saying ladies. I know there are men on the call as well, but I very often speak to the women. You have received it. How are you feeling when you have received it? You have just got almost the sign on the door or the title on the card. You have just received that client, that big client, whatever it is. What do you feel in your body? What do you feel in your body? You feel this excitement, don't you? Yeah, you feel excited. You feel confident. You feel there's something that has shifted in your energy. Now, we want to embody that now, because it's like this. Who do you need to become in order to be that woman who carries that vision of yours? So you embody that. And what we did in Sedona, we got up, we were like 20 women, and we were just walking as if everything was already in front of us. And it's such a powerful thing. It's almost impossible to have a voice that is saying, who do you think you are, blah, 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 blah. When it shows up, there is something counteractive in your body. So embodying it and thinking about what does that woman who have that position that I want, that business that I want, that I'm aiming for, that goal, whatever you want to look like, or whatever that is, what house you want, what car you want, what does she shows up like? What does she show up like? Imagine. And bring that here and now, because you are the powerful woman. You are the one that has it in here. So we want to ensure that the imposter syndrome is, I don't even like to talk about the imposter syndrome, because it's like we're given the power to it. We're not given the power. It is that young girl who is not supposed to drive your car. She's supposed to sit here. And now you, as the adult with all the accomplishments, can step into doing what you want. So I just wanted to read the comment. Yes, Ivy. What if the tiny voice is based on a permanent feature about you? For example, I have a tiny voice when I speak, and when I'm invited to speak, the tiny voice reminds me of my tiny voice. Now, that is a very powerful sharing, Ivy. And it's about what are you giving power to? I hear that you are now giving yourself a label. I am the one with a tiny voice. And because we're living in, again, I'm talking to particularly women in male dominated industries, we are very often told to lower our voice and become a bit more like this. Yeah, well, now we have allowed that definition to become I'm the one with that voice, or I'm the one with that voice. My question, Ivy, would be to step away from identifying that I'm the one with the tiny voice and think about what is it that your message is all about. Like, what is your purpose? What makes you come to life? Why are you on stage? Why are you speaking? Because what I'm hearing is this: you're invited to speak. So they invite you because you have something to say. They don't invite you because you have whatever voice you have. And remember, words do not have meaning until you give them a meaning. You have now given a meaning that I am the one with a tiny voice. In certain areas, this is the most beautiful thing. Just like when we talk about the image of weight, certain areas to be a larger size is a sign of something beautiful. And then you come to other places, you have to be skinny. And we are like ping pong in between. So think about that. What is it that those who are inviting you in see in you that it's time for you to see in yourself as well? So being reminded of your tiny voice, what can your voice remind you of instead? You're on stage. They are inviting you to speak up. Why are they doing that? Yeah. So shift the focus on away from I have a tiny voice to I have a powerful message. I have something to say. I have something to share. So everything is about how we look at it. I think for me, one of the biggest insights I had was, as many of you know, my son has a diagnosis, Hurley syndrome. And we were told that he would die between 7 and 12. Okay, so I first was that I am in this terrible situation. Thank you, Ivy. I'm so glad that helped you. I was faced with this thing that I called, like, now I am the mother of a sick child. You know what I did? I I realized something really important. You see, the minute I came to hospital, everyone I was talking to, they said, "Oh, it's Benjamin's mom." Yeah, all these things going on. Poor Benjamin's mom, poor Benjamin's dad, poor whatever. I realized that I do not want to be labeled as the mother of this child. I redefined it. And first thing I said is that to everyone, I said to the doctors and to the nurses, the minute I'm walking into my room, I said, the first thing I want to have established here is that I'm not mum. I'm Rita, and my son's name is Benjamin. I'm the mother of Benjamin, but my name is Rita. And through owning it, I could focus on what was important, to have a voice to help my son and other children in similar situations to live happy lives. So I've just flipped everything around. And this is to your question as well, Ivy. Let's focus on what it helps us to do, what it helped me to do, having a son with his unique ability. I don't say he has a handicap. I don't say anything of that. whatever. I'm talking about that he has a unique ability, not a disability. What I did was to shift that around and say, where's the power in this? And why is this happening for me? And this is my invitation to you. Think about that as well. Why is this happening for me, that I have my voice? How am I going to use the voice I so beautifully have to go out and own my message and be different from the others, because I am uniquely mine. It is my superpower. My voice is my superpower. Yeah. So you see, there is so much we can do when it comes to their inner critic, the inner voice. We want to shift the focus. So, and this is what I find so amazing, when I'm working with clients who are so capable and they're so ready to take on big things, and they are holding themselves back. And then luckily, when we're kind of working around reprogramming, shifting the message, and they're kind of breaking the habit of being themselves, as Joe Dispenza is talking about, is stepping into it. And in the mastermind, I think the most important thing and most powerful thing that I experienced there is that when we have a group of women coming together who believe in each other, who know the internal voices, who are speaking above them, who are encouraging each other, now we can step into who we truly are. And that is what I'm seeing with these amazing women that I get to work with. So that was it. It became longer than I was actually thinking about today. And love to hear from you. Any questions, DM me. I would also ask you, what topic would you love maybe for me to bring up and talk about? You can DM me. You can say hi. Thank you to all. I'm so happy you were here and spending time with us. And yeah, share with me what is showing up for you, what you would like to talk about. And I will do my very best to see if that is an area that I can actually talk about. Or maybe I'll find somebody else who can show up on a sustainability talk and share their insight. Because my plan going forward is also to invite in others to share their knowledge. So the weekly sustainability talk becomes very kind of powerful boost every week for you. Yes, Ivy. Balancing emotional and professional communication. Yes, this is a very powerful topic, and I will definitely look into that. I'm going to actually send you a DM afterwards, and just to hear a bit more about specifically what would be important. How do you relate professionally if you are someone that can be emotional? Oh, this is so powerful. That is a topic that I will definitely dive in on, because we want to use emotions as a strength in who you are. And we also want to look at emotions as to what is the message on the emotions. Okay, because there are two things. Emotion can be that we're scared of something, so we become emotional, or we're just emotionally engaged, and that is the way of which our body is expressing. So thank you, Ivy. That is definitely a topic that I will bring up. Yeah, maybe something to talk about next Tuesday. So keep them coming, and I will put them in a list, and we can map out the year together. Okay, so with that, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on any social media, but I'll definitely see you next Tuesday. Okay, bye for now.